I hope I'm audible. Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, audible. Yeah, okay. Here only. I'm not calling. I thought asking on YouTube. My bad. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, guys, everyone. So today, it's the second episode. Yesterday, we had a session with Nikhil, who had a very exciting and inspirational journey to IIM Bangalore. And Nikhil, a lot of questions were asked to Nikhil. We tried to answer as many as possible, but in case we could not, then please make sure that you email your questions to us at itopmytest@gmail.com or contact@topmytest.com. And we'll try to answer as many as possible. Coming back to the session, we've had a very eventful week, I would say, because last week, unfortunately, because of the cyclone, we were not able to cater to as many students as we can every day, and we could not have this session which was scheduled last week. So sorry about that, but the good part is today we are here, the second episode, and the guest speaker today is very inspirational, again another inspirational student who is also an engineer. He graduated from BITSCOA, has been working in ZS Associates, and he's going to IIM Ahmedabad for the batch PGP 2021 to 2023. So let's find out more from Lucky Call. Lucky, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so Lucky, you have been working in ZS Associates, and I know a lot of students actually have a very similar kind of a profile that you have. So why don't we start with you saying something about your work experience? What do you do on a daily basis? How many hours do you work? So that more and more students can relate your journey to themselves.
So I work as a business operations associate. Basically, we have a client based out of US, and we basically help. So basically, it's a pharma oriented company. Right? We have more into pharma consulting. So we help in the payout processing of their sale representatives. Basically, they have incentives to sell more, and we help them process the sales at the back end. So that is just in a gist. Roughly, on average, my work is around 8 to 9 hours. Usually the second half of the month is a little more hectic, so that's when it gets to around 10 hours as well. So that's what my typical work day is.
Great, amazing. But Lucky, one thing which I had noticed, and given that when we were speaking on a daily basis during your DDTI preparation and while you were preparing for CAT also, specifically during COVID-19 and then 20 and now 21, things have been a bit different than the real scenario, I mean, because the commuting time is not there anymore, and because we are working from home, so it's like we tend to spend a lot of time more in front of our computer to our work than we normally do when we are in the office. So what was your experience like while you were working from home? And how about the fact that you were also preparing for CAT? And it's not an easy task to prepare for CAT. It requires a lot of concentration, a lot of hard work. So how were you managing your time between your work as well as your CAT preparation?
So the answer to there are small disclaimer. See, this was my second attempt, and this was second attempt at the CAT. So after my first attempt, I realized that I had made a few mistakes for myself. That there are certain gaps in my preparation, something I could have done a bit better. Now, let me answer the more corporate-oriented question that you had like, regarding my work. The so how my experience working from home. So before GS, I was actually interning. I had interned for a year, and at that time I used to work out of office. I think when I was working, like personally, I prefer office to home. Even today, I'm a proponent of on-site to being at home. I just think that when we are in office, or even for that matter in education institutions, like a lot of colleges are having their classes online at the moment. I think when we are in an office or in an education or anywhere, there is an environment, right? The reason, I mean, you said that we work for relatively fewer hours at the office. I think there is also an efficiency tag attached to it. Because there is वो माहौल होता है ना, that environment is there where everyone is motivated enough to work at that level of efficiency. Therefore, I think things go much faster. Even in education institution, you have that environment. So I think working from home, yes, you're right. I had to be more in front of the laptop. Sometimes it used to be a little irritating, but we had a flexible schedule in the sense that the point was that see, आप अपना काम करो. You do your work properly so long as it has been done on time. Now, after that, you want to work from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's okay as long as you do the work on time and things do not get done late. That is one. Secondly, you had asked on CAT prep. So my work day typically started somewhere in 11:30, 12 p.m. range. So what I used to do is I used to get up early in the morning and at least read the day's newspaper. I read the Ken very consistently. Something I subscribed to last year, pretty informative, right? And otherwise, I used to largely prepare during the weekend. So weekends is when I was free, and I ensured that like this was true both in my first and my second attempt. Even in my internship, I had 8 to 9 hours work day. So, but I ensured that during the weekend, how much ever I can utilize my time efficiently, and a lot of people, you're right. People do ask how we manage work with CAT. The answer to that is you may have to cut down a little bit on leisure. This concept of delayed gratification that is of late catching a lot of strength, that you may want to give up a little bit of leisure now. I'm not saying don't enjoy life. I think, after a point of time, if you are interested in the CAT exam, that itself becomes a bit addictive, to be very honest. So that is there. But you will have to give up a little bit of leisure today for a better tomorrow. That's how it works. So I mostly manage on weekends, and I used to read quite consistently, so that is good.
Okay, but still, like, okay, your office, your work was a bit different with respect to, they were more concerned about, okay, aap apna efficiency maintain karo, you have to get your work done, and you're fine with it. But then not a lot of offices work that way. Sometimes people want you to stay for a certain number of hours, and then there are contractual employees who work on a certain number of hours, and they have to do it as mentioned on their contract. But then if you have to give, let's say, a ballpark number as to how many hours to put every day on your CAT preparation, what would you say? Let's say both for an engineer or a non-engineer, like how many hours regularly, including weekends, do you suggest the students should put?
So, firstly, on the earlier point, I mean, that point is true even for me. When we are expected to stay for a certain number of hours, I'm only saying that the window was flexible. That is, so we are also expected to do that. Number of hours, I mean, this is very subjective, right? Some people may need more time, some people may need less time. So if I give my example, I am pretty comfortable with the quantitative aptitude section. So I believe it is my relative expertise there, so I may not spend so much time on it. But let's say verbal does not go very well for me, so I would spend little more time. So on an average, so let me put it this way: there is no lower bound, but don't prepare for CAT as if your life depends on it, right? I mean, sure, you have a aim, you want to get into a good management college, you want to get into this places, right? But that does not mean that you donate 6-7 hours to a day, especially on a weekday. I think on a weekday you should not be spending more than 1 to 2 hours, and that should largely be on reading and just doing some basic mathematics, right? Because more than, I mean, from what I have gathered in this preparation journey and from seniors I've heard at MBA colleges, at the end of the day, you're going to be reading a lot of cases. There's a lot of reading to be done. And there's a lot of reading to be done in English written by foreign people. So the way we understand English is very different from the way foreigners write English. Therefore, reading consistently and understanding how they write and being comfortable with reading those volumes becomes extremely important. So if I have to give a time, I would say not for a working professional. I mean, for a fresher in college, I think 3.5 hours per day can do. But I think not more than 1 or 2 hours per day on weekdays. And if I exclude mock taking, like typically 3 hours go for taking a mock on weekends. So if I exclude that, I would say around 3 to 3.5 hours for a working professional. Shouldn't take more than that. I mean, finally, it is not about the quantity but the quality. That is important. So the more like I believe one should always be in pursuit of being an efficient solver. It is not important whether you know how to do it. Like in school, we are used to we are taught that you do step one, step two, step three, step four. What if I can jump directly to step four? That is the kind of mindset that one needs to have during preparation. So no one cares about no one cares about how you did it, but what people care about whether you did it and whether you did it efficiently. That mindset should be there during preparation.
So it should be like a more of a mix of hard work and smart work. You also need to be very smart when you're fixing the timings that you have to fix. And I don't know, I mean, this was a question yesterday also, and a lot of students have asked me this. They have sent me the questions, and one of them asked that, ma'am, how many hours should I put every day on a particular given subject? I have a different way of looking at it, but why don't you talk about or what do you think about it? Like, let's say you have reasoning and data interpretation, you have verbal, and you have quant. So every day, should we practice quant every day? Should we practice reasoning every day? So what should be the how should you divide your time accordingly?
Yes. See, that's where I was saying it is relative, right? So like I said, I am pretty comfortable with math. So I would not spend. So let me do this thing. Most of my math practice was basically clearing doubts of others. So it was like, see, when especially, see, if someone else sends me a question, right, especially a math question. So my mindset is that can I give this person a solution that is better than what is there in the book or the solution?
Yeah.
When that mindset happens, personally, I don't spend any extra time on math prep. Most of my practice happens. But if I have to give a subject wise, I mean, if you want a bare minimum for someone who is just preparing for the first time, ideally, I mean, it would help that if you read for around 30 to 45 minutes. Logic would be around 1 hour and math would be around 1 hour. But one thing has to be understood that there are and you should definitely spend time on calculation because there are a number of concepts in math that end up coming in the logic section. So that is there. That's how the logic section of CAT has evolved. And so I think regularity and consistency matters more than this, right? Now you're asking, should one practice it every day? I think that depends on the comfort level of the student. I think what the student should do is initially when they're preparing, like in the initial couple of months, they can do it every day. And once they start taking more, then they will get some idea of where am I doing relatively better and then work on those gaps. Like after a point in time, you will become so accustomed to certain areas, it will be second nature to you, right?
Yeah.
So then you have to think about where are my gaps. So the first few months you can probably spend 1 hour each on the three sectors, half an hour on reading and 1 hour on the other two sectors. But after a point, you have to see where are my gaps, where are my avenues of improvement. Then it will adjust according to the student comfort.
Okay, perfect. So there is one more thing, which is I basically feel it's a myth based on my experience of training so many students. But again, you guys will have a different perspective. Everybody has a different perspective. So the thing is, many people say that, I am not an engineer, so I'm not good in quantitative aptitude. He's an engineer. That's the reason, it's an easy way out for him. How true do you feel is? I mean, did it actually help you being an engineer in the quantitative aptitude preparation for CAT 2000? I mean, when you were preparing for CAT?
Let me take another. So there's this. There's a junior of mine. I'm not taking any name. He has written his answer on Quora as well. This particular gentleman secured admission to IIMA last year. Now he was in Brit Goa, and whenever we used to discuss our mock scores and Quant, it turned out that his Quant was not so good, but he was really good with verbal, and he was reasonably good in DILR. And that's what happened on the day also. He secured a good percentile, a very good percentile, got all the calls in IIM. Again, the driver of his score was verbal and logic, and Quant he didn't do as well. I think he was in the early 98%, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think it is, but this is one off case, and he's a very smart person. Let's not make it. But so a couple of things. Firstly, I'll come to myself, then I'll come to the more general case. In my case, was me being an engineer instrumental in my quantitative aptitude? I don't think so. The reason for that is I enjoyed math in school, right? I did very well in my boards in both 10th and 12th, and in general, I enjoy math a lot. Like especially, I enjoy numbers a lot. I like to play around with numbers and so on. So one of my favorite numbers is this. It's this number which is 2025. 2025 is it's what we call Kapreka number. So 2025 is actually 45 square. If you split the 20 and 25, you add 20, 25, you get back 45. So that is what I liked about the number. So these kind of things really interested me from quite some time, and I think I was pretty good with calculations right from school itself. I mean, there are in engineering the kind of math we have, like calculus and those kind of math, because they did not appear so much in the exam. The remaining your 10th class math is something I personally enjoyed a lot. So I don't think it would have made so much of a difference in my quant preparation. Like these things I really like right from the word. Now coming to the more general query, are all engineers good at math? No. Are all non-engineers bad at math? No. I mean, it is okay. It is true that people, and this is backed by data, that more people in the higher percentile are engineers, and it is also true that the exam is 67% logic and math. There is no doubt about it. That is correct. But what one has to, I think this fear comes out because of a prior distinctly engineer math acha hona hi chahiye. And because I'm not an engineer, I can't be good at math. That is wrong. You probably weren't good at math because you didn't put in the effort to become good at math. That could be the case. That is there. But there are enough non-engineers who are good at math. They may not be the bulk, but I think people who have put in the effort, even if they have not become excellently good at math, they would have been pretty happy with their performance at the end of the day. And see, this was my second attempt, but before my mocks happened in the second attempt, I actually so I had around a gap of 1 month between my intern and my job. To get to the level of comfort that I was in Quant, in that 1 month, I really slogged off. I'm not kidding. I really slogged off a lot. And I put in quite some effort in developing the ways to answer questions and all. So that amount of effort even we put in. You cannot neglect that we are putting that much effort to. So I mean, just to summarize, I have to say that to make it takes a lot of effort to make something look effortless. It is not effortless just because it is. There's a lot of work that goes behind it. So I think I can understand why people make that generalization, and there is data to back it up also. But having said that, don't let your background make you pass judgments on yourself at least. Don't think that you can't do this because of a program.
The reason I asked this question is
especially with 6 to 7 months to go, you should not have that much. Not so far away.
Yes. So the reason I asked this question is because a lot of people are there who are extremely scared of writing CAT just because they are from a non-engineering background and they feel here they are, कौन कैसे करेंगे, ऐसे कैसे होगा, हम लोग तो नहीं कर पाएंगे, नहीं possible है. So there is, I mean, this fear that people have in their minds, this should actually go away. And that's a very good point you have actually brought up. So thank you for that. But now that you have
that is also under. Yeah, no, that is also understandable that people have fear of math. If they had a choice, they would never want like in their life they would prefer the letter X only to be a treasure on name card, right? They would not expect it to be a variable in the subject. But then see, you have to ask yourself if you have to pursue management education, whether it be in India or it be in abroad, any exam that you take will test you on math. So you can't run away from it. Now, if you can't, so the best way to remove the fear is face the fear test, right? So, so you have to take care of it. I mean, if you're looking at that,
Yeah,
you know what the dragon is, you know what is to be done. So you have to do it. I mean, unfortunately, that's it.
that is true. True. You have to go through it. That's the only way out. So, talking
Yeah.
about quant, why don't you say something about the areas which are there? So, a lot of people say, "Arey, geometry is very important, so we should just do geometry." A lot of questions come from geometry. Some say arithmetic, some say numbers, trigonometry. So, different
Yeah.
kinds of people have different opinions. What do you think,
Yes.
according to you, given that you have written CAT? What are the overrated and the underrated areas of quantitative aptitude? We'll start with quant first, and then
Yeah.
gradually
Sure.
we will move to the other
Sure.
two sections. So let's start with quant. What do you think?
So what I have, I mean, I will structure it differently, but what I have seen is kind of from what I've seen of people posting questions and all, there's a difference between difficult questions and relevant questions. Now, as an aspirant, and I think people watching this would relate to that, as an aspirant, the more difficult question would be from the topics with not so much weightage, like which have not appeared, like probability or numbers or some very crazy exponential function. These are the questions where you will get doubts from. Why? Because you could not solve them. Because the ones you solve, you're not going to see the problem is the questions that you solve. You are not going to ask someone, is there a better way of doing this? You are happy that you solved it. It should not end there. You should have to think one step ahead. See, because everyone knows how to do it. You have to differentiate yourself by seeing can you do it better. Okay. Now coming to the areas. So of course the fact that people stress so much on probability and number makes it overrated. But I just want to add a caveat here. I agree with that on probability and arithmetic, algebra, and geometry are the main. They are the main. But I just want to add that I mean there is numbers, right? I mean just a note on numbers. People are often scared of the remainder one section. But one thing I personally like about numbers, see, for me personally, the true power of numbers is not in numbers. The true power of numbers is in all the other. See, numbers are the building blocks of math. The true power of numbers is in those areas where I can use options or my knowledge of factors to eliminate options. Or I can just use a simple approximation. There again, you have numbers, factors, and multiples and remainder. These building blocks, if you can use in other areas of math, the way you look at questions and the way you solve them will change dramatically. It has changed a lot for me. Like people are afraid of the chapter numbers because of remainders and all, but I think the true power of numbers is not in the numbers chapter, but the true power of numbers actually everywhere else. If you know how to play around with it or use factors logic, like let's say only one option is a multiple of seven, that kind of logic. That is the power of numbers. Therefore, numbers should not be neglected. Now, the more important topic, arithmetic, algebra, geometry, that is there. You are not supposed to skip those and please don't skip those, study them properly and look for ways where you can connect different chapters. So there is I remember there was one question in a mock, I think sometime last year. It was around a question on quadratic equations and one root was given, the equation was given and you have to find the other root. So normally people would substitute and find everything else when the reality is that if you have a quadratic equation, the sum of the roots is minus b by like the sum of the roots will be minus b by 2 or something like that, or minus b by a. Basically, my point is you could have just drawn the graph of that and found the other. You don't actually have to go and back calculate all that. These kinds of thinking are what I personally want to see people develop and want. So I think there is no underrated topic honestly, but I think people just get a little scared over questions that they can't solve. They think if I can't solve one question, I cannot solve the CAT paper. And this happens in mocks also. People think I can't solve two questions, I can't solve the paper. If you can't solve two questions, you have 32 questions for the day.
That's true.
And in those 32 questions, even if you get say 26 or 27 correct without any errors, you are at that stage that every engineer also dreams to be. Forget non every so don't just have that thing, right? I mean, and don't leave areas. I'm not saying don't give importance to probability, don't. But understand that become efficient in solving questions. Don't get beaten up just because you can't solve a few questions from answer. Don't generalize it over. And but yes, don't leave arithmetic algebra.
Okay, how about LRDI and verbal? And I also have a question for LRDI from one of our students.
Yeah.
He has asked, Lucky, please tell me how you prepared for LRDI and how many sectional tests did you give? Because LRDI is now considered to be one of the toughest sections in CAT. So yes. Why don't you answer the question at the same time? So this was a question from the student.
Yeah. So see the way to prepare for LRDI. See, I think one of the best preparatory resources for the entire exam itself is the past mocks or something like that. I mean, I think there are personally from what I've seen, there is enough that if you can somehow get past mocks, you have more than enough material for next 3 years. You won't be able to honestly or even 2 years. So there is enough. That is not a problem. The problem is not the quantity. The problem is you have to put in the time and the effort. Now coming to LRDI, what is important is practicing a lot, of course. These exams finally become better with volume. It's just like someone learning how to use an app. As you use more and more, you become better at it, right? So now that is there, but practicing a lot and practicing with variety, that is important, because LRDI in CAT is known to ask very unconventional sets or little differently modeled sets. So the way to prepare is to see there are a set of skill sets you have to have for LRDI. One is calculation, one is the skill set. One is calculation, and second is not being hesitant to make cases. There are a lot of LRDI sets, including in CAT 2020, where there were more than one possible solution for the question. So you don't have to get bogged down just because there are more than one possible solution, or just because there cannot be determined option. What if the option is so easy that and the thing is you don't have to get bogged down. So I remember in my CAT 2019, there was a set on rainfall. Now, when I saw that set on the computer, right, there was a very big graph on that computer which really, bogged me. I was like, I can't do this set. Now, when I came out of the hall later in the day, a few of my friends told me that was a very straightforward set. It would have been done without pen. Now, if someone is telling me that I just set that I could solve without using pen, and a set that can be solved without using pen itself is a rarity in LRDI. I really got irritated. I remember that even to this day. So after that, I told myself, I'm not going to be bogged down by a set just because it has a lot of data or because it looks difficult. You have to practice a lot and a lot of variety to get used to these. And when you're attempting a sectional, I took around 15 sectional tests in my first attempt and roughly 10 to 12 in the second attempt. Of course, mocks were there. I think mocks are a better indicator than sectional because you enter LRDI after 1 hour of verbal, 1 hour of grueling reading and answering mocks. Therefore, mocks are better. But in those, you have to judge a set based on the difficulty, based on not on the data or anything. You have to be really careful, take a good 4-5 minute look at the entire section, survey it, and then take a call on what. But
what was your favorite? Lucky, what was your favorite subject in LRDI? What was your favorite chapter in LRDI? Like some of your favorites that you really like.
Yeah. So personally, I mean, there is no fixed answer. I mean, I didn't have a favorite chapter as such. I did not like cube. I hated cube. I hated cubes a lot because I am not very good at 3D spatial resistance. I did not like that. But all other chapters, I think it was fine. I didn't have any. I think there only it was a difficulty of the test. I mean, in fact, even though I scored more in maths on average, actually DILR was my favorite section because that makes you break your head. It actually makes you break your head. And the thrill out of solving those kind of sets, I mean, there's like alag tarike ka high aata hai. So that is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how about verbal? Now there is a question again, and this is a question which from my side, because I've seen a lot of students doing this, because there is no grammar as such as it used to previously in the CAT examinations is reading comprehension. So people usually think that reading grammar, reading parts of speech and the rules and everything is not important at all for CAT. How relevant do you think it is? I mean, do you actually emphasize on grammar? How do you prepare for verbal when it comes to the grammatical part? Did you prepare for grammar?
So the grammatical part often comes in the non-CAT exam, not CAT. So if you're someone who is targeting with the entire MBA gamut of exams, and like you say, right, don't play always in one basket. So then I think you should prepare. But see, from the CAT point of view, it is not that grammar is not important. Like I said earlier, it is important for us to understand how things are written. When someone is trying to say something, he'll have a mindset that, look, this is what I want to convey, this is the order in which I want to convey, and this is how I want to convey. So these things, grammar becomes important because you have to understand parts of speech, like basically, like you have to understand what a metaphor is, what a simile is, how can they be used in writing. I think people not like just being a good reader, but I think one should even be a good writer, like how to write basic sentence and paragraph, because later on in MBA you will have to write subjective answers as well. So how do you put across those points coherently and in a logical manner? That matters a lot. Now, did I do grammar for CAT? Not much, but one thing I definitely did when I was reading, I definitely looked out for things like, especially and this especially as in parajumlas and so on, right? Finding words like also or pronoun or but. See, these are very simple concepts, but you can't just say that, you can't just blanket say grammar does not come. Grammar does not come the way it comes in non-CAT exam, but a basic understanding of grammar is required. Grammar is again a building block of it. So at least basic understanding of how you should, how things are written, how or let's say there's a but, let's say you're reading a paragraph, there's a but in the next sentence, and or maybe but in the same sentence. Then you have to understand that the thing that comes after the but is more important than what comes before, which is why the but was there first. So these sort of things, and because they really keep your antennas on and they keep you observant about what am I supposed to concentrate on when I am reading the paragraph. Do I focus? Am I getting the main idea of what is going on? Am I getting the more general point? Am I getting the more summarized point? Those become important. So in that case, grammar indirectly.
Yeah. Okay. How about the sectionals? Now, you already talked a little bit about the sectionals, but I know like people are so much engrossed in writing mocks, and usually mocks start somewhere in the month of May or June, ideally May actually. So people get so much engrossed in writing mocks कि अरे यार mocks आ गया, मेरे को भी mock लिखना है, 99 percentile लाना है mock में. Then people forget the first base of it, which is you start with the sectional test, make sure that the advanced level sectional tests which are there, you do well in that, and then go to mocks. So what was your strategy when it came to writing mocks? And I know that when writing mocks, your mock scores were consistently good. That's what was conveyed to me, that you've been consistently performing well. You were in the top 10, I guess. So, and you were almost expecting a much higher percentile than you actually had it in CAT, which was 99.7 percentile. So what was your strategy while writing mocks, and how disappointed were you with your CAT results when you got it versus writing the mocks when you were performing really well?
Let me put it this way. I was always a more aptitude person, right? I mean, even today I don't believe that I have an answer. But anyway, coming back to that, I am personally more in favor of mocks than sectional tests. Because I think sectional test is something one should take after taking a few mocks just for improvement. Because finally, see, one has to understand why it could give you so many mocks. See, it is not an easy job for them also. They also have to sit and ponder and make all the questions. Right? The reason, in my opinion, one of the very important reasons for offering you so many mocks is for you to build that stamina. There are people I know who struggle to sit for 3 hours on a seat for that paper. You have to. And on the day, you have to sit for 4 hours, including all the time you will have in, the document processing, the sitting, the waiting for it, 40 minutes doing nothing in the world, right? So you have to have that stamina to sit for 3 3.5 4 hours. That's one reason why you have to take more. That is important. And see, my strategy was basically waiting for the logic and context, right? But just kidding. No, my strategy was see, in verbal I used to attempt the RCs first because they took more time. So good to use it earlier. In logic, as I said, I used to scan the paper for 4 to 5 minutes, get an idea of what's going on, and then pick and choose set and move on. It was not always successful, but okay. There will be places where you'll have roadblocks and so on. And Quant was basically a T20 match, but there have been days when I was at the eighth question with 54 minutes to go and only one question is solved. But then I tell myself that look, don't be afraid. There are more for the taking. I have belief in myself that whatever happens, how much ever bad the verbal goes, how much ever bad the logic goes, I have faith in myself when it comes to math. I know I will take it out in the math. There has to be so that confidence I have. And when this happened, by the end of 16 minutes, I solved 32 questions in a particular mock like that. So it's there. Now coming to what you were asking about disappointment. There were disappointment. Yeah, there were days and mocks when I was disappointed because I was decent, but there were some people above me whom I could just not touch in the season. I mean, they were absolutely untouchable. Like you could like the ball bakani that was how it was going on, and that sometimes used to give me a few sleepless nights. Even though I mean, finally that is human nature. We are finally very competitive. And on the day, you are right. I did make a few errors, and okay, I felt yes, I could have done a little better. But I think all that uh, in hindsight, it doesn't matter so much once you have converted a good college. I think the means are there, but I think once you have a good convert, then it's a good bachelor to recollect. I mean, there's no disappointment.
It's all worth it. But how many mocks did you get? Total.
Yeah, so
How many mocks did you get?
yeah, I took somewhere around 45 or more.
45.
Uh,
So hear that, everyone. If you want to get a 99, so so everyone, if you want to get into IIM Ahmedabad, you need to write 40 mocks or 45 mocks, right, Lucky? As Lucky says, make sure you write your mocks. That's very important.
Yeah. That is no. You need for 45 mocks. I think people can get that in 20 minutes also. But yes, that one you have to be consistent in writing your mock. Don't miss your mock. Be like one thing I've realized for myself: regularity and consistency are very important. So that is good.
And how about the analysis? Doing a mock analysis, how important is that? Because I personally feel that if you don't do your analysis for a mock where you have made mistakes, you keep repeating the same mistakes until you realize it. Did you have extensive analysis yourself? Did you do that?
So I did it quite a bit for verbal sections. I didn't do it so in logic I didn't do it a lot, but I did ensure that I solved the set later on. Math I typically used to see can I do it better than what is given in the solution. That, like I said, that mindset should be there. And I did work on my weak area for a couple of months a lot. But after that, analysis depended more on how much free time I have. So, but one should do analysis at least of seeing what are the mistakes I've made and how I cannot make a mistake next time. Now, the biggest problem that comes here is especially verbal. Because verbal, it's mostly a matter of judgment. You can end up making the same mistake again, and it's fine. It's fine if you do it one or two times in verbal. Don't have to beat yourself up so much over it. Sometimes the options are just a matter of opinion, right? Both look correct, but see it happens. You still have a 50% probability of getting the answer. That is the biggest, in my understanding, when people analyze a mock, one of the biggest dilemma is that I have two options in verbal, what to do. It's okay, nobody knows the correct answer to that. But yeah, definitely do look for the two options and try scanning them and see what is different. But don't beat yourself up so much. I think what you should get out of your analysis is what are my gaps and why I could not do it in this mock, and what can I do in the next 2 weeks so that in the next mock this does not happen. These things you have to get out for yourself from that.
Okay. Okay, so let's come to the biggest part of this session, which is your DDTI preparation. Because I know that writing that is one thing and preparing for your personal interviews is another. Specifically, when you have no idea who you're going to face and who is going to ask you the questions, and it's very difficult to predict what your mood is going to be and what his or her mood is going to be when he or she is taking your interview. So coming to that, you have been a quiz master. You love, I know that you love quizzes. You love participating in different kinds of quiz competitions. So when you were preparing for GDPI, did it help you? Because when you are so much in love with different kinds of quizzes, whether it's current affairs related, you automatically get to study or in touch base on a daily basis. And during the interview, it can help because you will be asked a lot of current affair based questions. So how much did it help you in your GDPI preparation?
I think quizzing was not so much of, I mean, some part, yes, but no, I think GDPI preparation is very, I don't think quizzing is a very big catalyst. The current affairs part should be there. You don't need to be a quizzer to get the current affairs part. You just have to read it regularly to get the current affairs. For all you know, the top global CEOs read 50 books a year, and the reason they do that is to stay updated with the time. Mostly those 50 books are in the same 1 or 2 years. Now, right, but no, GDPI preparation is much more than that. I mean, current affairs one part, but brushing up on academics, brushing up on a past, especially if you're revisiting it 1.5 to 2 years of time, that becomes important. And knowing how to tell your story becomes like, how do you convey to the person across you that you're actually interested in business education? So yes, business quizzing was one step in that direction because I enjoyed reading about business concepts and so on. That is there. But otherwise, I think there are always enough questions that the interviewer have to, to stump you. And at that time, how you have. So one thing that one thing that you would not have done so much earlier is, honing your communication skills, how you present yourself, how do you groom yourself. These sort of things are not explicitly taught until you actually come to GDPI. Like, I think it's more a process of discovering yourself, trying to come up with stories and basically projecting your life from the word go. What happened in your life and how did they change you as a person? How did they influence you as a person? These things become very important. So yes, once the CAT was over, I was really worried about my GDPI because I knew that I have it in me to crack the CAT. I probably have it in me to crack it for the next 2 years. But at came to GDPI, I was really concerned how this will go about. In fact, after my 2 years of prep, I still tell to everyone that I'm not the right person to ask for GDPI. You want to ask anything for CAT, I can do it, but I'm still not the right person to ask for GDPI. You need someone more experienced or a more professional person in the area. So it took me time, it took me effort, but and regarding the questions, I'll be very honest. The questions I actually got in the interviews, a good number of them were those whose answer I knew even before preparing for GDPI. That is okay. But I think what this phase taught me is that aptitude is one part, attitude is the other, right? So that is important. So that and how to communicate skill, how to having good communication skills, and how to put your point across forward, and having a nice. I think one thing that definitely worked for me in my Ahmedabad interview was, even despite some good things and some not good things, I think we had a very good conversation. That is very important. There was dialogue on both these sides. It was not one-sided. Everyone had their own view, and there was a healthy exchange of ideas and points. I think that also helped a lot. We become a good conversation. So that also.
Yeah, I mean, if you see it, I mean, I always tell that it's the people who take your interview, specifically the professors who have been teaching for like 25, 30 years in that particular college. They want a good conversation at the end of the day, with whom they can converse. Because MBA is nothing but at the end of the day, you should know how to speak to others, communicate properly. And interpersonal skills is a very important part of being an MBA graduate. So I think that is also something which they check. How many hours did you put on your GDPI preparation, like on a daily basis? Can you just walk us through a little bit?
Yes. I would say more on a weekly basis, more like 5 to 6 hours per week. Largely, it was revising academics, largely, and even more largely, it was revising my computer science aspects because I was a little more worried about them. Turns out, in most of my major interviews, I was questioned on economics, but fair enough. You have to be ready for all scenarios. But yeah, a large amount of that was revising my academics, and some part of it was revising basically how I will go about conveying my ideas. But I think on average, see, it will not take you as much time and effort as CAT preparation. Like you put in 3 hours every day, maybe you can get away with it, but you do have to read consistently. That 1.5 hour of reading straight, and that is a normal thing that is supposed to be there even as an MBA student or even after that. I mean, the power of being informed is very underrated. Like being informed, information is a huge. As people are saying, data is the new oil. Information is the new oil. So being informed helps, right? But otherwise, I think around 5 to 6 hours per week is what I give to DDTI.
Okay. And do you think that, like, what kind of questions were asked in your personal interview? Do you think a lot of profile-related questions were asked pertaining to your academics, your engineering days, and given that you were working, I don't know how much of the subjects you were in touch base with. You know, a lot of people start working and they lose the lose in touch with all the subjects that they have studied in their graduation. So is it very important to be updated with whatever you have studied in your graduation?
It is because except one of my interviews, every single interview asked me on academics, especially because I was in an early stage of just 6 to 7 months old on okay. So yes, I was asked largely on economics, which was a good thing. But yes, largely you have to be in touch with the subject. At least 2 to 3 core subjects have to be there, where you have to know your basic stuff. It's okay to say no for an answer as long as you say firmly and a little regretful, but okay, not very regretful also. You don't have to, right? So, but you have to be updated, especially if you're having pressure or early 1 year of working, you have to be updated with the undergrad subject. And large amount of my interviews were on undergrad subjects. Specifically, Ahmedabad, it was mostly on economics and policy. So, policy implications that it does come up as a part of economics. So, and one part of it was opinions, like what is your take or what are your opinions on certain current affairs. So, being able to form an opinion is important. That has both a theoretical and a practical background to it. The theoretical part is that you understand how these things work. The practical part is that you actually reading the news and trying to model it around something you have experienced before, or at least having an opinion. So knowing your past academics and subjects, it does matter. But in general, knowing your past matters.
And given that this was your second attempt, do you think, like, how many months do you think usually requires to prepare for CAT? Do you require 1 year? Do you require 2 years to prepare for CAT? Or you can even prepare in like 3 to 4 months? What's your understanding of it? Maybe talk about it in a more generalized perspective, because you have a certain degree of looking at things, but
yes,
if you had to advise the CAT 2021 students or the CAT aspirants, what would you advise them with respect to when to start the preparation?
You're right. Again, this is again a subjective answer, but if I have to average out on average for all the pool of candidates, I would say sometime February or March, because I think Feb to April you should work on your basics. It's like practicing in the net, that should be there. Then May to June you can take your first mocks and do the basic analysis and go back to the grind. You have to go to the grind. I mean, the best batsman in the world, their batting skill is not. I mean, if they have spent 3 hours on the crease, they would have spent 30 hours on the net for perfecting that 3 hours on the crease. So you have to do that effort. So, and from July, August onwards, if you're done with your, at least I won't say done, nobody's syllabus is fully complete, but at least if you have attained a certain level of comfort with the paper, then you can just go on taking mocks and handhelds. So I think ideally February is a good time. 9 to 10 months should be.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lucky, for joining us. It has been an amazing journey of yours. Congratulations once again. I hope you really do well in IIM Ahmedabad. And to all our viewers. It was this was Lucky Call. If you have any questions regarding IIM Ahmedabad, Lucky, do you mind if I share your LinkedIn profile on our description, so that if in case the students have any kind of questions, they can connect with you on LinkedIn. Is it fine with you?
I'm okay with that, but I may not be the person for questions with IIM Ahmedabad. Because I've just entered the college that is there. I may be the more relevant person for CAT queries and so on. I may not really be the right person to answer questions on DDTI or IIM because I've just entered IIM.
Okay, perfect. So that was Lucky, guys. If you have any questions regarding the CAT 2021 preparation, you can always email us. I have given our email ID in the description below. You can always WhatsApp us, contact us. Want to have a chat with us? We always love to have a chat with our students and guide you to the right path. If you like this video, if you share it with your friends, obviously, and follow us on YouTube to enjoy getting such content. Please understand, we do this only for you, make all the videos for you. It takes a lot of time. So follow us so that you can actually keep enjoying this video. That was Lucky. We will come back maybe next week with another Achiever Pass for the MBA Prep Talk Achievers Edition 2020. Till then, take care, stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lucky.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Let's see how things go from here. I think this was like a first mock year that I overspoke, but fine. Maybe this is the location where it's okay to do that. To be honest. Right.
Okay. Thank you.